For more than half a century, we've been told a single, consistent, and brutally simple story about weight gain. It's a story you know by heart. It's the story of calories in, calories out. We've been told that our bodies are like simple balance scales. If you put more calories in than you burn, you will gain weight. If you burn more than you eat, you will lose it. It is a mathematical certainty. And because the math is so simple, the conclusion is equally simple. If you are overweight, it is your fault. You are guilty of the twin sins of gluttony and sloth. You eat too much, and you move too little. It is a failure of willpower, a weakness of character. But what if this entire story, this entire framework that has guided billions of dollars in public health policy and caused immeasurable personal guilt and shame, is fundamentally wrong? What if obesity isn't a problem of simple math but of complex biology? What if it's not a disease of character but a disease of hormones? In his paradigm-shifting book, The Obesity Code, Dr. Jason Fung, a medical doctor and kidney specialist, acts as both a scientist and a clinician to dismantle the calorie myth once and for all. He argues that obesity is a hormonal, not a caloric disease. This book is the definitive diagnosis. It is the doctor walking us through the precise biological mechanisms that cause weight gain and laying out a clear, evidence-based prescription for its cure. It's a journey that will not only change how you think about food, but will also liberate you from the cycle of blame and failure that has defined modern dieting for far too long. A disease of hormones, not willpower. The first and most crucial step in cracking the obesity code is to throw out the old, broken model. The calories in, calories out theory fails to explain the most basic questions. For example, why did the obesity epidemic only start in the late 1970s? Did everyone in the world suddenly lose their willpower at the exact same time? And why do calorie-restricted diets have a failure rate of over 99% in the long term? Are all of those people simply weak-willed? Dr. Fung argues that this is absurd. Blaming the patient for the failure of the treatment is a medical dead end. He proposes a new model, the hormonal theory of obesity. This theory states that our body weight, much like our body temperature or our heart rate, is tightly regulated by a complex system of hormones. Our bodies have a set point, a weight that it considers normal and will fight to defend. The central question is not how do we cut calories, but what is causing our hormonal system to set our body weight so high? The answer, as we've explored in other inquiries, is the hormone insulin, but in The Obesity Code, Fung goes deeper, showing precisely how insulin acts as the master switch for fat storage. But he also introduces another key player, cortisol, the stress hormone. He explains that our fat regulation system is not a simple scale, but a complex dashboard with multiple dials. Insulin is the main dial, but other hormones, like cortisol, can turn it up or down. Obesity, then, is a multifactorial disease. It's a hormonal dysregulation, and once you understand that, you can stop blaming yourself and start looking for the real causes. Cracking the code, the keys to high insulin. If high insulin is the primary driver of obesity, then the key to solving the puzzle is to understand what causes our insulin to be so high, so often. Dr. Fung lays out a clear and comprehensive case, identifying the key factors in our modern diet and lifestyle that are pushing our hormonal systems to the breaking point. The first and most important factor is the one that creates a vicious cycle: insulin itself. As we've discussed, when you eat, especially carbs, your insulin goes up. But if you eat this way all the time, your body's cells start to become resistant to insulin's signal. Your body's response is to shout louder, to pump out even more insulin to do the same job. But this just makes the cells even more resistant. It's a feedback loop. High insulin causes insulin resistance, and insulin resistance leads to even higher levels of insulin. The second key factor is the constant, unceasing barrage of sugar, and specifically, fructose. While all carbohydrates raise insulin, Fung singles out fructose, the sugar found in table sugar and high fructose corn syrup, as a particularly potent villain. Unlike glucose, which can be used by any cell in the body, fructose can only be metabolized by your liver. When you consume a lot of sugar, you overwhelm the liver. The liver has no choice but to turn that excess fructose into fat. This leads to a condition called fatty liver disease, which is a major driver of insulin resistance throughout the entire body. A sugary soda, Fung argues, is not just empty calories, it is a direct toxic assault on your liver that powerfully promotes fat storage. The third key is the lack of protective factors in our modern diet, particularly the absence of fiber. In nature, sugar is almost always found packaged with its natural antidote, fiber, When you eat an apple, the fiber in the fruit slows down the absorption of the sugar, preventing a rapid spike in blood sugar and insulin. But when you drink apple juice, you are getting all of the sugar with none of the protective fiber. It's a pure sugar hit that sends your insulin soaring. The fourth and fifth keys are about the other foods we eat. He explains how increasing healthy natural fats is protective. He also points out the protective role of things like vinegar and fermented foods, which have been shown in studies to lower the insulin response to a meal. These are ancient dietary tricks that our ancestors understood intuitively. So, the code is becoming clearer. The modern obesity epidemic is being driven by a diet that is constantly stimulating insulin, a diet high in sugar and refined grains, and low in protective factors like fiber and healthy fats. The prescription for the cure. If that is the diagnosis, then the prescription becomes stunningly simple. The cure for a disease of high insulin is to do the things that lower insulin. Dr. Fung lays out a clear 5-part solution that directly counters the 5 keys to the problem. First, and most importantly, reduce your consumption of added sugars. This is non-negotiable. Sugar, and especially fructose, is the primary accelerant on the fire of insulin resistance. This means cutting out sugary drinks, desserts, and processed foods with hidden sugars. Second, reduce your consumption of refined grains. Things like white bread, white pasta, white rice, and most breakfast cereals have had their fiber stripped away, meaning they act very much like sugar in the body, causing a rapid insulin spike. Choosing whole, unprocessed carbohydrates is better, but reducing them overall is best. Third, moderate your protein intake. While protein is essential, excessive amounts can also be converted to glucose in the body, and can stimulate insulin, though not as powerfully as carbohydrates. The goal is to eat adequate, but not excessive, amounts of protein. Fourth, increase your consumption of healthy fats. Don't be afraid of fat. Healthy natural fats from sources like avocados, nuts, seeds, and olive oil are not only good for you, they are incredibly satiating and have a minimal effect on insulin. They are a key part of the solution. Fifth, increase your consumption of protective factors like fiber and vinegar. Eat whole fruits instead of drinking juice. Eat lots of non-starchy vegetables. Add a little vinegar to your salad dressing. These simple acts can have a surprisingly powerful effect on your hormonal health. These 5 steps form the foundation of a healthy diet. But Dr. Fung argues that for many people who are already trapped in a severe cycle of insulin resistance, changing what they eat may not be enough. They also need to change when they eat. The master key, the power of intermittent fasting. This brings us to what Dr. Fung considers the master key, the single most powerful tool for breaking the code of obesity, intermittent fasting. As we explored in our summary of his other book, The Complete Guide to Fasting, this practice is the most direct and efficient way to lower insulin levels. The logic is undeniable. If eating causes insulin to go up, then not eating causes insulin to go down. It's that simple. Intermittent fasting is the practice of creating a regular, consistent period of time where you are not eating. This gives your body a much-needed break. During the fasting period, your insulin levels plummet. This finally allows your body to flip the metabolic switch. It stops being in fat-storing mode and starts being in fat-burning mode. It can finally unlock your own stored body fat and use it for energy. Fasting directly and powerfully reverses insulin resistance. It gives your cells a rest from the constant bombardment of insulin, allowing them to become sensitive to its signal again. Dr. Fung emphasizes that this isn't a new or radical idea, it's an ancient one. For most of human history, eating 3 meals a day plus snacks was unheard of. Feasting and fasting was the natural rhythm of life. Fasting isn't a punishment, it's a cleanse. It's a rest. It's allowing your body's own healing mechanisms to do their work. The hidden variable. The role of stress and sleep. But the code is not just about food. Dr. Fung makes it clear that our hormonal system is incredibly complex, and other factors can play a huge role. One of the most important of these is stress, and its related hormone, cortisol. When you are under chronic stress, from your job, your relationships, or a lack of sleep, your body is flooded with cortisol. Cortisol is your fight or flight hormone. Its job is to prepare you for an emergency, and one of the main things it does is tell your liver to release stored sugar into your bloodstream, so your muscles have quick energy to fight or flee. But in our modern world, we are not running from tigers. We are sitting at our desks, stewing in stress. So what happens to all that sugar that cortisol dumps into our blood? It has to be dealt with. And how does the body deal with high blood sugar? It releases insulin. This is a critical and often overlooked piece of the puzzle. Chronic stress leads to chronically high cortisol, which leads to chronically high blood sugar, which leads to chronically high insulin. You can be eating a perfect low-carb diet, but if you are chronically stressed and not sleeping, you can still be struggling with high insulin and its fat-storing consequences. This is why a holistic approach is so essential. You cannot solve obesity with diet alone. You must also manage your stress through practices like meditation, yoga, or spending time in nature, and you must prioritize sleep. Lack of sleep is a major physiological stressor that dramatically affects your cortisol and insulin levels. Cracking the obesity code means looking at your entire life, not just your plate. The ultimate message of the obesity code is one of hope and empowerment. For decades, we have been shamed and blamed for a disease whose cause we did not understand. We were told it was our fault, that we lacked the character to succeed. Dr. Jason Fung, with clear science and deep compassion, smashes that myth. He shows us that obesity is a biological hormonal disease, not a moral failing. And by understanding the code, the complex interplay of insulin, cortisol, and the foods we eat, we can finally stop blaming ourselves and start applying the right solutions. It gives us back our agency. It gives us back our power. It's a profound inquiry that challenges us to rethink everything we thought we knew about health. If you are ready to challenge the conventional wisdom and take control of your own biology, you are in the right place. Welcome to Geeky Philosopher. Subscribe and let's continue the journey.